everybody.
Oh,
Hello,
hi.
we missed you this
I
morning.
missed you guys too.
Hi, John.
And I missed you this morning. I wasn't aware I was supposed to be up at 2 o'clock in the morning for the call, but no one gave me the memo.
Oh, you
It's
weren't out
hard to get
partying.
good help. It's just hard to get good help.
It really is.
I don't really
I
mean
keep
that,
trying.
April.
John, are you getting a ponytail?
I am getting,
What?
no, I'm not getting a ponytail. My hair is just curly. But that's okay. It's good to see y'all today. And for y'all who were on earlier and coming back again, my apologies and thank you for showing up again. I'll be back in Hawaii starting this Friday, y'all's Friday, my Saturday here.
God.
So next week we'll be going back to the 12 p.m. Pacific time zone.
Okay.
Calls for light. So just as an FYI at the beginning of the call.
Okay.
And how have y'all been? What is going on? It feels like a year since I've been on one of these calls.
But that's good. That means you got a break from us.
You guys got a break from me also. And I heard that the sessions of Joy T and Florentine were wonderful. So
Oh, yeah, they were.
I'm glad that y'all were there to receive that. And how was the Kundalini activation for you guys? Was that an experience? Yeah, interesting, right? So I'm glad that you guys got to experience just again
I
the
missed that
heart
one. Yeah.
of some of your members, yeah, that are here. And I just want to call everybody out. So Carlotta, it's good to see you. Oh my God, I haven't seen you in forever.
Thank
Donna
you.
and Mary, hello. Lori, it's good to see you. Hello, Tara and Anne. Anne, are you back from Africa? Obviously. Wow, I cannot wait to catch up. And would you be open to sharing insights from your journey? Anne was in Glastonbury in England and in London for a little while.
Whoa.
Went back home and then went down to what seemed like an amazing gathering. I don't want to call it a retreat. Um, and then I had a brief discussion before she left, and I just felt the connection to the ley lines of cosmic intelligence that runs through the earth. And I know that there were some synchronicities that showed up around that end by a post that you had shared on Instagram, I believe. But I'm curious if you're open to sharing some of the wisdom that came through for you, just briefly, even the connections to Zep Tepi in Egypt and different civilizations. And yeah, if you want to unmute yourself, that'd be great. I'd love for you to share now. And if y'all don't know Anne,
hi there.
And if y'all don't know Anne, y'all should get to know Anne. She's I'm gonna speak about you like you're not here for a second. Which is great because we can't hear you, so we'll adjust your microphones. I would say that Anne, and I don't want to call her, she's incognito in the background. You just don't know who she is quite just yet necessarily outside of the group. But she's definitely someone that's anchored in as an amplification of a light that is expanding in our new world reality. And I would call her an ambassador of it and also an emanation of what's coming through. As y'all are in so many different ways, but specifically she's being called to certain places around the world. And I know that there's more wisdom coming through from that. So with that brief introduction, Anne, I'd love it if you could share. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Sorry for the technical difficulties here. Just got back last night. I was in Zambia, specifically on the Zambezi River, which is on the Zep Tepi line. as John and Carlotta and I traveled to Egypt last September and talked to the origins of time and human existence and so forth. So this line is in the process of actually being activated and will, over the next couple decades, become the green space on the planet. And I've just been called to be in conversation with the earth, and it's been part of an awakening and an initiation and activation within me. But in that process is bringing me in connection with a lot of other beautiful souls, and beginning to really fully embrace this stage of my life of elderhood and learning a lot about the codes that are activated through this process, and the collaborations, and assisting in kind of the conscious awakening. I'm feeling a lot has been activated. Most recently, this gathering in Zambia was a gathering of about 20 individuals, and we came together in a just an imagination of this new earth that's emerging, and tapping into not only the ancient wisdom, but also human intelligence and our evolution, epigenetics, our cellular evolution, how our vibrational frequency, much like we talk about here on these calls, is critical to aligning with our highest self and our ability to co-create with others. So it was really quite a powerful experience. The Glastonbury visit was very heart activating for me. And I did connect with Jerome, who John suggested that I meet with a beautiful guide there. And he was really very instrumental in guiding me to a number of different sites there. So that was really helpful.
Beautiful. Can you give a brief explanation as to what Zep Tepi is for everybody listening?
Yes, and you could probably do a better job than me, but
You were there, yeah.
Yeah. So Zep Tepi is the kind of the origins of life and time, our construct of time. It's going back to our original highest essence of self, and we're looking at civilizations and upon civilizations in time, going back to that. But the essence of it is very alive in all of nature. When we particularly get close to the magnetism of the Zep Tepi line that I'm referring to, especially in places like Egypt and along this sort of latitudinal line that runs down through Africa, it's really quite palpable and felt because of the rivers that flow there and the river energy that moves through there. In fact, about 200 miles from where I just was, there's a delta that mirrors the Nile Delta and is literally in the shape of a vaginal canal.
Wow.
And the water flows through that space and brings new life into the land there. And it's very, very fertile and reminiscent of how the earth feeds us and is our playground.
It's beautiful.
So yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I can feel just the harmonics that you're carrying and sharing with us, and how as we're receptive, even if we don't even think that we're being receptive, how we're being influenced and provided for through what you're carrying in your journeys there. So thank you, Anne. I can't wait to go deeper with you whenever we have a chance to catch up. And welcome back. It's great to see you.
It's good to
Um,
see everybody. It's good to be seen too.
Yeah, so there's a lot activating within the earth. There's an intelligence that we're um, becoming even more intimately aware of. And I love using the word intimate, as you all are aware after listening to so many of our calls, because that's what's happening. There is a deepening, a relational dynamic that can't be denied. And as we open our hearts um, and our field to the fluidity of the co-creative state that is happening, regardless if we're resisting it or opening to it, the quality of what's being created is dictated by our cohesiveness and a harmony that doesn't need to create tension in order to expand, or it expands exponentially because we're open to being in the tonal expression of what's being guided for us in our evolution. And so to be in harmonics with particular land masses, with rivers, um, that's definitely one of the major ways to attune to the higher vibrational tones that are here for, as we're without question evolving into expressions that we hadn't considered before. We may have thought about them, and I'll get into that in a second, but we weren't quite sure how we would experience it, if that would become possible. It just wasn't necessarily in a lot of our wheelhouses on a consistent basis. Um, Over this last week, also, we talk about intelligence coming from the earth. We've been getting influenced by dramatic solar flares. And this isn't just woo-woo talk. This is, science, NASA, that meteorologist. This is something that we're very much aware of um, on an intellectual basis and on a spiritual as well. That we're being impacted by these blasts of radiation that are coming through. Um, for me, these blasts have been a focus into going more inward, into being with myself, and while realizing that no matter where I go, God is always with me. Also feeling not as strongly as connected to the ebb and the flow of that connection as it supports me, and um, this feeling of ecstasy that I receive sometimes when I'm in that connection, when the angelics are so present, when I'm so attuned with the earth, when I can drop into meditation and boom, there are the angels or my guides or God directly. And this has been more about anchoring my relationship with who I be just in the beingness. So what happens if that is not influencing me and guiding me on a continuous basis? Where am I finding my bliss? Where am I finding my joy? Where am I finding my purpose? What is it that's directing that? And as we go through these periods that, again, we're being amplified in different ways, but sometimes we feel hyper connected, and other times there's just nothing, it's flat. It's all about this cracking of molds in which we held consciousness and our beingness in particular ways, or identified with it and wore the mask to, or the costume to play out that particular phase. I feel, for me personally, but I'm feeling it in the collective as well, um, that even more of the identities from the past are falling away. That who I knew myself to be yesterday can't define who I'm going to be tomorrow. Even who I am today can't define who I'm going to be tomorrow, because I'm finding that it's shifting so quickly, but I'm also questioning it in different ways. Because what's also happening is that we're discovering more and more through these amplification of energies and through our co-creation with them. If you really pay attention, and I hope that you are, because it's demonstrating a power that's emanating from you that's just undeniable. And without question, I know that y'all are having the experience in one way or another. You just have to tune in. Some of y'all may be more aware of it. Some of you may think, I don't even know what he's talking about, but I'll ask you to focus on your daily activities in your life, how this is coming through. Wherever you are putting your attention and you're focusing your will, again, this is a direct exertion of your energy output in a particular direction. Wherever you're putting that, you may be discovering that things are showing up more quickly. That your capacity to create in that way is meeting you based on your output. I guarantee if you wake up grumpy one day and you stay grumpy all day, that you're going to be met with more grumpiness in different ways. If that's the energy that you typically carry. I can also guarantee that if you wake up grumpy one day and you decide to shift it within 2 seconds, that your whole day is going to realign to that new layer of consciousness. And we can say that's true. That's always happened. That's been the case. But it's just a small example of how, by directing your will, like timelines will shift for that particular day, which means timelines will shift for your lives. Timelines will shift for your relationship with others based on where you focus, where you put your energy, and how quickly the harmonics of your particular song adjust to meet that new reality. And we have limitless amount of potential realities that we get to live in any particular moment based on how we're directing our energy, our emotions, our focus, our will. And while we also have particular trajectories that we're still living out, y'all can feel, even if you may feel that I don't know my purpose is now, or I don't know where I'm going tomorrow, or I don't know what that's happening, you can still feel that as this incarnation continues to progress, that there's still something for you here, that there was a purpose, that you came here for a particular experience to be of contribution to something, but also to receive from something. And that blueprint, if you will, is still right on point. That blueprint was etched into this particular experience with full awareness of the different trajectories that we were going to be presented with. That blueprint didn't have a plan B, C, or D, depending on where humanity was going to go necessarily. That essence of you that is undeniable was guided by an inner compass, a knowing, a relational dynamic from a creator standpoint with other beings and souls, other creators, if you will. That was aware beyond the ego and pain and suffering. That was aware beyond a chemical response to emotions that would guide us to preferences for safety or survival. It's guided by something that is calling for us to direct our will, whose foundation is really found in three components and at a most basic level. First of all, knowing the perfection of your being and your blueprint and how that blueprint was created and these experiences that you came here to have and the contribution of your love in bringing everybody back home to each other into that state of oneness that we all truly are, but also honoring the individuated experience as part of the whole. So the knowing. And we may know something, but just because we know it at a subatomic level, who's to say that some grand force won't disrupt that knowing? And so underneath the knowing, there's faith. And we can't talk about our human evolution at the highest level without really taking into account faith. It's just not possible. Who you are today, you had no idea 30, 40 years ago that you were going to be. You had no clue. You couldn't have begun to imagine the thoughts that you'd be having today. You might have had a trajectory. I'm going to be living in the house with the picket fence and with my grandkids or children around, and I'm going to have friends around me, and I'm going to follow that formula, that familiarity. That brings me a sense of peace and home and connection and fulfillment. And we all hold on to some semblance of that in different ways because it's a foundation that supplies us perhaps enough strength to keep moving forward in this faith and this blueprint to discover new things. So when we become completely untethered into other realities that we've never navigated before, but you're still disentangling, and we all are, from some of those structures in different ways. Those structures, again, were formulated, created based on certain expectations. This has to happen so that I can feel like I belong. This has to happen so that I can feel like I can save. Someone has to show up for me in the role as my wife, my husband, my child, and they have to fulfill certain things so that I can have enough of a firm ground so that I can go out and have the different experiences that are going to take me outside of the knowing who I be. And this evolution of faith and will as really the pillars of our expanding consciousness, and talked about new earth, of what we're creating and why, and really what we're unearthing within ourselves. We find that we're discovering that there's an unearthing of truth within Gaia herself, within these Zep Tepi lines, within these rivers. Like, look at where it always has been there. But my consciousness is at a place that I can finally see it in a way that I hadn't seen it before, or that's been presented to me before. I'm ready to hear and to be in an experience in a way that I can understand at a much more intimate, knowing, faithful level. When we go into expressions of love and we give our love, that we give our love from the pure standpoint, because if I give my love, I'm going to get something back in return. Sure, we have transactional love. But when we're really emanated from that place that we just can't help but to be it. The exchange happens only because it's a meeting of harmonics merging together into something bigger than itself. And those are the times that we drop into ecstasy. Those are the times that we feel blessed. Those are the times that we have gratitude for the creations rather than strategizing the creations. But again, we have faith, we have knowing. As two of the three pillars that I want to talk about today. And the third pillar is devotion. Because once you get to a certain point of knowing, and that wells up within you, once that knowing becomes so absolute for you, and this is beyond the mind, but it incorporates the mind also, y'all. Once you're enough of a intimate relationship with that knowing, the faith that arises from what's guiding you in that knowing, it's beyond true questioning. There could be bouts of the mind, of doubts, of adjusting and refining, but the knowing of what's guiding you is something that really becomes unquestionable. Why are you guided to go to Glastonbury or to Africa? Why are you guided to go to Bali? Why are you guided to go visit your sister across town at just the right moment? Why are you guided to call someone that you haven't spoken to? Why are you guided to reach out and speak to someone at a particular time? Or to be in interaction, or to be in co-creation. And the surrender to the flow of that, of how you are guiding your will, your energy in co-creation, that are led by a knowing within you that's guiding you into what else you're discovering about yourself as a soul, as a creator being, as a humanitarian who's here to not only receive love, but to amplify that love. As we get into even deeper, more profound relationship with our surroundings, with Mother Earth, with humanity, with the cosmos, understanding at levels that we could never have understood before, of this divine connection in creation, in unity consciousness. And the third pillar, with the knowing and the faith, is devotion. And you can't speak of personal development, of spiritual attainment, of connection with something bigger than ourselves, yet truly ourselves simultaneously, without speaking of devotion. What is it that really matters to you? That you feel in your heart. It's not even the why, because your brain can't even begin to quantify the enormity of it. But you just know. You know because you know because you know. And nobody else needs to know. You're the only one that needs to know. You have so much faith in that knowing of what's guiding you forward, that really the only alternative is to be in devotion to that. And when we get into these points, for example, where I am in, but I don't feel that connection in the same way as I had previously during this point right now. It reminds me of the stories of Jesus going through the desert for 40 days. It's the separation from, it's like, okay, what's alive in you? What is it as you're without food and without water? If you will, that spiritual connection for me. That feels so nourishing on a continuous basis. Is it here? Yes. But my connection to it is in a different place right now. But what is it that you discover about yourself? About that self-nourishing, that self-connection that becomes possible and amplified during these periods of drought, if you will, at least in our perception. What is it that's refined or refining? When everything that you've known seems to have taken on a different meaning, or truly a different energy, and your relationship to that energy is shifting, and you have to attune to something different, higher, lower. It really doesn't matter. Your soul, your blueprint knows exactly what it's doing. Divinity, source, God knows exactly what's unfolding, what is. And we're being challenged in the most beautiful of ways to really sit with the knowing, to sit with faith, to choose what we're devoted to, and to witness as we direct our will into relationship with those pillars. And to get excited about what's being created from that space, from your consciousness, where your heart, your mind, your energetic being are creating something beyond the structures that you have known before. Playing with new Legos to create new buildings and characters and experiences. that we can see in ways that we couldn't see before. During my time here in Bali, I've been geeking out a little bit, and gotten a little addicted to the television series, The Chosen. And I'd seen part of it before, and if y'all aren't aware of it, it's a series about Jesus and the apostles, and it's a contemporary present or interpretation, um, just in the way that they present Jesus and the apostles and Mary and the Pharisees and all that. Um, it's been entertaining. Um, and again, I've been binge watching 1 or 2 episodes a night at least. And there's 5 seasons of it, and we've just ended. There's 4 seasons. The 5th season's coming out on Amazon. It's been in movies. Um, but anyway, so what they were sharing in the series, a lot of times it'd be the different miracles that Jesus would perform, or the different sermons that he would give, the parables, that were shared with the public or with the religious leaders or the Romans or the apostles during the time. And I found it so enlightening. And I've been watching some other things also. I found it really enlightening about how I was taught to interpret the parables in particular ways. And I can't even say taught it. I presumed it because of the way that I can understand what was being shared. And I can't give you a specific example now. I can give you a loose example. Means that those who shall receive me shall receive the kingdoms of heaven. It's like, oh, I have to put this man on a pedestal, and if I worship him and the promise of what he brings, maybe I'll be gifted something in return. It'll give me hope. If I have faith in this, then something beyond me will be given to me. And as a Latino Catholic, we grew up around a quasi interpretation of that teaching. And again, I'm butchering the teaching right now, in that way. I hear it now in different religious programs, in Christian and Catholic religious programs. Um, so you have to be born again to access the kingdom of heaven. You have to receive him as this person. And y'all probably are aware of it. And again, just my understanding of that teaching now compared to 15, 20 years ago, even compared to a year ago, because of the way that I'm receiving it today rather than how I received it even a year ago. Those teachings are all about the awakening of the Christ within us. He speaking in parable, those who can receive me. If you can receive the Christ consciousness within you, the crystalline consciousness, if you will, the tenets for knowing, the tenets for faith, the tenets for devotion. If you can receive that and hold it within you, you will access the kingdom of heaven. It doesn't mean when we leave from this body, and it certainly can mean that, but we have it here now. And if we take it down to the simplest forms and to the most basic but most profound truth that's easy to receive based on our consciousness right now, but also so profound that we have such limited capacity to tune it to its infinite potential. but to know love, to have faith in love, and to devote yourself to love. That's what we're being gifted and being taught are the keys to this kingdom that we seek through all the scriptures, all the religious teachings, all those that we have put on a level where we want to listen and learn from them. How is it that we can find true freedom, true prosperity, true relating, true connection? How is it that I can find myself and not be confused? How is it that I find my purpose and be that purpose and give from that purpose? How is it that I connect to my guides, to my higher self? How is it that I can make a contribution to this earth? How is it that I can feel that I'm even capable of being a contribution? Why am I here? How do I make a difference? How do I find community? How do I feel safe? It's right there in the teachings. Those who receive me in my heart shall find the kingdom of heaven. The answer has always been love. And so let's remember to direct energy as we're being amplified, as we have clearer eyes to see with than we ever have before. As you forget the collective, because not all the collective has clearer eyes to see necessarily. They're getting clearer, but your eyes aren't as obscured as many others that are, so many more. You have been deepening in your connection of faith, devotion, of knowing for quite a while. You've been deepening into your intimacy with the truth of that. Something has guided you through your knowing to pursue that relationship in ways that are outside of the normal standards. Whether it's through connecting with galactic beings of benevolent energy and thought forms, of anchoring into sacred lands and technologies in this earth that are uncovering themselves now because we have the capacity to do something with that technology in ways that we haven't before, because our consciousness can see the effects and the implications of it differently. We're no longer 3 years olds or 5-year-olds playing with matches. The Atlantean fear that we're going to repeat and destroy the civilization again, that's not something y'all carry. If any of y'all have any prior lifetime fears that you can't embrace your power because you're going to destroy that civilization again or contribute to it, that's not the reality that you're living in now. Those past life echoes, if you're on this call with me, you have risen above that. I would guarantee that to anybody that's on this call with me today. We would not be of a resonant match if that were the case. And if there's any speckles of doubts or resistance from owning your power because of that type of fear, because your power may be so much that you may use it to destroy another, I'm here to tell you that that's not true any longer. You're not capable. You might be feeling the echoes of something that has been long gone. But don't create based on that limitation. Create based on the knowing, the faith, the devotion of who you have become rather than who you used to be. Do not create from guilt, from shame, from regret. And I'm speaking of Atlantean timelines now, but I'm also speaking of events in this lifetime. Like, I can't do that again. I can't let anybody down. I cannot harm another. If I do this, then Y is going to happen and other people are going to be affected in a way that can severely negatively impact them because of my calling to my faith and my devotion. You can't ignore what you're devoted to. Truly. You can't ignore what you're truly in faith to. You can't be held back to it. Trust that it's guiding you. Trust that it wants something that is gifting you even greater intimacy with that Christ within you. Again, with love. And love knows no scarcity. If you are benefiting from love in the highest vibrational form, that is the output of your knowing, your faith, and your devotion, that anyone who you surround yourself with gets multiplied with that energy as well. And it's not for you to judge if things are disentangling in somebody else's life because you're following your path of love. But rather it's for you to amplify that love even more so that you can hold a field of truth within you so that another can know the field of truth within themselves. And that is the highest form of authentic relating. So you stepping into your power cannot destroy another in the highest sense. Can it destroy an egoic structure that has been created in order to survive and get something in return? Yeah, absolutely. But that's okay. And it's only okay because you know what it's like for your world to be destroyed in different ways. For realities to crumble that don't serve you anymore because they're not who you were becoming. They weren't supporting an emergence, a transcendence that was awakening through you. So we can have both compassion and empathy for others as they're going through their experience of collapsing realities and whatever that may bring up for them. And you can hold grace to demonstrate grace for another who's going through suffering. It's one of the highest forms of love that we can demonstrate. And then to be an anchor for what's possible on the other side of the collapse. The tarot card, the tower burning down, only to be rebuilt again. And so we're going to experience these waves of in and out within ourselves as we get to know ourselves at a deeper level, as we deepen into knowing, as we deepen into faith, as we anchor our hearts and our energy into the devotion of that which we feel and know is arising through us in our relationship to that. And direct our energy, direct our will into co-creation with that power. New worlds are being unearthed. New connections and allyships, if you will, from a broader perspective that are in congruence with love, with the benevolence, the freedom that is that we truly seek. Start demonstrating themselves. Again, and seeing this river interpreted in this new way, and the capacity to not just understand it, but to feel the flow of creation as it's encoding her with, wow, what else is possible? And the gift of being in the awe and the miracle and the wonder of that expansion as it unfolds right before us, because our mind all of a sudden just lights up and can see something that it could never see before. It's incredible. It is profound. It is demonstrative of your personal evolution and spiritual growth and conscious awakening. And we can't separate one from the other. They're all happening. The buckets of spirituality and conscious awakening can't be separated based on Jungian analysis or Freudian theory or, you know, the philosophy of the Stoics or Aristotle bringing in certain thought forms, but then spirituality is something different. It's all merging. The intelligence of a Pleiadian or Andromedan energy that is amplifying something in our field cannot be separated from the intelligence of a child that we're witnessing playing in their own creation and the wisdom that they evoke through the love and creativity that they're being. There's not one aspect of love that's more valuable than another aspect of love. There's not one aspect of creation that's more valuable than another aspect of creation. There's not one human being in this world that is more valuable than any other human being. Not a one. And we're feeling the truth of this. We're feeling and we're having relationship with the knowing of this. We're grounding in and amplifying our capacity to hold with such more strength and vitality the faith of this truth. And we can't help but to devote ourselves in this faith to amplifying that Christed energy in every experience in our lives. As all this comes through, be aware also that there's no thought or emotion that runs through you that is more valuable than another thought or emotion that runs through you. So if you're deeply connected right now and amplifying something in your field, and that connection to spirit and to the earth and to others is just humming so beautifully in your life right now. Oh, enjoy that ride. Amplify it even more. Let it drown you in bliss and ecstasy. And maybe you're going through a phase like me where it's like, all right, I don't feel it. It's not here. But even as I speak words, I know it's flowing through me, but I don't feel it in the way that I used to. It's a different type of, and I can't even say a numbing out. I'm having a different awareness and experience of knowing of it that isn't less than the ecstasy of when I am in that bliss. It's all part of what's emerging in the next phase of becoming that I'm experiencing now. And my initiation. How can I stay in my knowing and remind myself to keep coming back to that knowing, even when I forget that I know? Can I come back into the faith that, as we say, I know this is happening for me, not to me? In the faith that God and the divine and this bliss and ecstasy live through me no matter how I'm perceiving it. And it's not about what I'm going to get tomorrow from it as I go through this phase in this initiation. Oh, but it's going to pay off into this. So, okay. No. It's like, how can I be in reverence to this gift right now? Let me not make it transactional. Well, okay, I'll go through this because I know I'm going to get that. How can I really amplify my awareness of the divine that is living in me right this second, in what I would call my disconnection? But perhaps it's a greater connection than any type of connection that I felt before. And be open in faith to the mystery of that. And then where am I going to choose to devote myself to be in that presence, to try not to lose myself in the hopes of becoming something else? Try not to make the seduction of something else taking my attention away from what actually is, in the hopes that I can escape feeling uncomfortable in my knowing that I'm discovering something new that I don't know, but I know that I don't know. And what I can come back to on that is just the joy, the innocence, the awareness that love is guiding this all. Right? If I thought some malevolent energy was guiding this, we'd be having a whole different conversation. But again, my faith, my devotion, my knowing. I know what is steering the ship. And I surrender to it. How could I not? How could I not? So be open to new interpretations of things that we have been taught before, or even what we've anticipated before, or deepening into that interpretation where it's even more ingrained, more imprints at a subatomic level of your knowingness. You know, watching that show and being immersed in it and hearing the parables and some of the main teachings just from a way of understanding in ways that I couldn't have understood before. For me was just a beautiful acknowledgement of how far I have grown to be able to understand this in the way that I understand it. And how each part of the journey is just all necessary, because had I not understood it from one way, I couldn't have gotten to the angle of being able to see it in another way. And whichever way anybody else is experiencing their knowing is as profound as the way that I'm experiencing my knowing. Because again, it's all an emanation of love presenting herself, reminding us, holding us, guiding us together and individually back into her bosom, back into I'm going to hold you because you're going to create this and so much more. And again, we're at a point in consciousness that so many of us have evolved through so many lifetimes of creation, that the creations of suffering, the creations of control, the creations from scarcity, of greed, of violence, of sexual confusion and manipulation, of seduction, the creations from ignorance in the ways that we've been ignorant before. Those are collapsed timelines. Collapsed timelines. So if there's anywhere that you're afraid to speak because you're afraid that you're going to be hung as a witch or burned as a witch, if you're anywhere where you're holding back any base or root chakra energy because you might be perceived a certain way, because the scarlet letter would be put upon you, because you would be stoned, for showing your hair, you would be judged and ostracized for being in your bliss and joy. Anywhere where you thought outside the box and you said, no, the earth really is round. No, it can't be true that if I speak certain words, the devil and heresy will fall upon us. Anywhere where you were taught to compress your intelligence for the sake of somebody else's authority. The fear of the retribution, the punishment that you would receive, and then under any of those scenarios, and so many others like that. Those timelines aren't existing here. They're trying to make a comeback. They're trying to be recreated in different ways, and you can see it in our political, our religious, and corporate structures, national structures, in different ways where they're trying to be recreated through the rationale of morality or economics. But they don't have a leg to stand on. Why? Because we've already done that work. We've already had those experiences. We're done. Those foundations that are trying to be put in based on the limitations of the path are being built on sand. Know that. That's not where you're building your houses. Do not bring past retribution into your current creations, or the fear of past retributions into your current creations. You're done with those contracts. You have paid off the debt with interest on top of interest. The ancestral lineage, the family debt is complete. You are not here to heal your mother's, your father's, your grandmother's, your great grandparents' wounds. They didn't ask you to, but some of y'all may have taken it on anyway. They are complete. You're complete. The burdens of the past can no longer bind you to what's available for you in your awakening to the truth and what you can see as the fog is lifted and the light is showing you what's becoming possible. Direct your will into the creation unencumbered and be ready for the miracles that are to unfold. But be aware that the biggest miracle that you're witnessing is the awakening of your awareness of the love within you. Honor that on a daily basis. Bring awareness and your will into relationship with the absolute truth of that. If you do that as a daily practice of prayer, who you know yourself to be today and who you know yourself to be, or who you will become yourself known to be a year from now, will be two completely different people. The peace and the light that will keep expanding within you as you devote in faith and knowing to the love that you're recognizing within yourself will feed and nourish you far beyond anything that can feed and nourish you. That is your true devotion to God, to source, to Christed energy, to benevolence. We're very external in that reverence. Bring it back into you. It's the greatest act of service and honor that you can bring as an offering for the opportunity that you have to be incarnate in this moment here on this earth plane. And how beautiful is that? And I want to thank you again for sharing earlier and for passing the baton for this wave that got created through this call today. I'm curious if y'all have any questions or any comments or any experiences that you want to share before we end the call today. Again, I feel like I've been gone for like a year. I know it's been a couple of weeks. Anybody want to share? No?
Love and blessings.
Love and blessings to you, Donna. And we've got Tara that has her hand up also. So what's up, Tara?
I was just gonna mention that in relation to our deepening relations with everything, with the earth, with love. This morning I was gifted a a turkey feather in my backyard.
Oh,
And I have fences in my little suburban backyard, and there have been wild turkeys around. But I said, you know, that was such a gift because I always send the turkeys my love when I see them. And and I felt like it was a gift because it had flown in and obviously flown out. And it also was a sign for me of abundance, of a new kind of abundance that's coming. So that was really, so you said in what way is, I have felt her and I've been connecting to the, you know, her grid, even just in my backyard. And so those are the things. And a couple of, maybe last week, I had a little epiphany. And, you know I've spoken with you, John, like about being addicted to all this work, right? All this work that's been in my life for 30 years, but then in the past 7, 8 years, it's really come online. And I realized what the addiction was. Why? And it's just very simple. It's the yearning, it's the search for the deeper love. You know, the really, not the surface level. It's been something that was, you know, something more nourishing. And I know it's an inside job that comes out, but I guess that's what I was looking for, you know, what I've been looking for. And so that was in relation to everything you've been saying today.
Yeah, I can really appreciate what you're saying about that. And, you know, when we first, you know, for me, we first started the path, it was like, okay, I got to sit, you remember Barnes and Noble's bookstores. Of course, they still exist, but I'd have to go to the bookstore and again, consume books and just, I would read consistently and just try to like absorb as much as I could. And I know a lot of y'all had similar experiences, either through books, through listening to podcasts, through wanting to just like consume and be in relationship and feed our mind and something that was calling. And even it's also a reason why I started Beyond the Ordinary, because it's like I had this innate desire and I knew more people did, and there was just this where can I find this and be in a vibrational relationship with something that has grown inside of me. This may be true for you. I know it's true for me. That I find that seeking those experiences and being, just consuming, which was wonderful. So grateful for it and so fun. Even the plant medicine journeys and ceremonies about how can I be in relationship and what's coming through, what's amplifying, and it's
Calm down. Oh,
it's again, it's drawing to us that information. Again, just we can't, it's like we're not satiated. And even over the last couple of years, my journeys with plant medicine, with consumption, have been more organic, where I find that just the right ceremony will call to me. It'll appear. The right book will kind of like fall off the shelf, if you will. I'll be guided and listen to just the right YouTube short that'll inspire something. I'll have a call with someone that I believe I'm serving, but something in that winds up serving me, and the serendipity and the organic nature of, again, the pillars of knowing, of faith, and of devotion, that they seem to provide just the beautiful container for those things to appear that we're ready to receive and have relationship with and co-create with, and inspire us into an ever ending, never ending, infinite journey of understanding what love is through the various experiences that are demonstrated to us, through us, for us, in so many different ways. So we'll never stop. We'll forever be curious. But we talk about an infinite universe, and we're infinite beings. We may loop different things, but we're constantly creating. Our capacity of our energy and our brain's capacity to interpret and translate that energy into new creations are part of our infinite nature. We put it in a box for safety or for comfort, or because we can only contain so much without going into overload. Again, they say we use, I don't know, 10, 12% of our brains when we're awake. There's so much to discover. There's so much that is coming to us now as we exert our will in that faith, knowing, trust, as we're reattuning from, again, scarcity consciousness, survival consciousness, in ways that are more up to modern times, rather than, hey, the tiger's going to eat me. But again, so many of us are still running that. That again, we're getting to experience these synchronicities, these miracles, that we're getting to experience the love that that turkey had. And it didn't have to know that it was leaving something for Tara.
right.
But yet it did. It left something for Tara as an expression of love. Did that turkey know that it was an expression of love as I was walking through your, or flying through your yard and doing all that? No, most likely not.
Maybe his higher self knew.
But nonetheless, there it is. Yeah. How amazing that turkey is showing you the miracle that you are.
How about yesterday, I see a license plate at 7-Eleven here, and it's Yeshua. So I go in, I come out, the guy's still there. I his windows down, and I say, wow, that's some license plate. And he goes, do you know what that means? And I said, yes. I said, you know, that's very powerful. And he said,
Mhm.
oh, yeah, thanks. I said, of course, Jesus. And he was like, oh, you know. He said, I really didn't want the double A at the end, but I had no choice. I said, I'm surprised you even got that license plate. And that was it. And that's
That's
like,
amazing.
whoa.
That's awesome. My God. And again, it's just, yeah, just remember wherever you
Showing
go
up.
there, wherever you go there, you are.
Yeah.
And by that, I also mean that wherever you go, there your love is. There that Christed you exists everywhere you go. Walk with that knowing. I know you know, but we forget. I'm reminding all of us, I'm reminding myself to remember, to know that. I'm reminding you, I'm reminding us, I'm reminding myself to have faith in that knowing. I'm reminding you, I'm reminding us, I'm reminding myself to be devoted to that faith.
You can't help but be, you get all this stuff and it's mind blowing every day. And, you just know you're connected.
Hmm.
And yesterday I heard something in meditation. I was surprised. Your light is in everything. Your light is in everything. It's in the birds. It's in, it's just in everything. And that was a different way of looking at it for me.
Yeah, yeah. Keep having a relationship with that. Let it amplify you. Direct your will towards that, which is directing towards you in this particular way as you're noticing these things. Right? Be aware
Okay,
of where
thanks.
you're
That's great.
emanating your energy.
You have that example. Thank you. That helps a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah, and you're walking. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Tara.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to share? Anybody else have their hand up or on the call? All right. Well, y'all, it's wonderful to see y'all again. I've missed you. It's great to be on the call today. Next week, again, we're meeting at 12 p.m. Pacific time. There'll be an earlier call. And until then, I appreciate and love all of you. Thank you so much for just for being. Y'all are amazing. Love from Bali. Love and blessings, Donna. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Love you.
Have fun, John.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'll see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.